You weren't born to fit in. You weren't designed to blend into the background, to move with the herd, to spend your life following blueprints drawn by people too afraid to burn their own. There's a moment somewhere between your first breath and your last where you either become the designer of your reality or the echo of someone else's. And that moment is now, not tomorrow. Not when you're ready, not when it's safe, now. Because if you don't create, you get replaced. You think the world is waiting for you? It's not. The world moves fast and forgets faster. If you don't claim your space, someone else will build a monument on top of your silence. If you don't scream your vision into reality, someone else will sell you theirs. If you don't decide what matters, you'll end up working on what doesn't. You don't need more time. You need more intention. You don't need permission. You need ignition. Burn the idea that you have to ask before you act. Burn the lie that you need to be perfect before you begin. You were never meant to tiptoe through life. You were meant to crash into it with vision in your eyes and refusal to be average. Because average is for the forgettable, and you were made to disrupt. Mindset isn't just some trendy word. It's the lever behind everything. You either train your mind to break through walls, or you sit behind them making peace with your excuses. Every minute you spend doubting is a minute you're not building. Every second you hesitate is a second the fire dies. You either feed the flame or let it burn out. Belief isn't a feeling. It's a decision. Decide to believe before you see it. Decide to act before it's clear. You don't need evidence. You are the evidence. You are the proof that something new is possible if you're brave enough to become it. Belief is not about being right. It's about being relentless. Even when it's dark, especially when it's dark. You've got to know what you stand for. Clarity is a weapon. When you're clear, you move with force. When you're foggy, you hesitate, and hesitation is the virus that infects greatness. Be ruthless with your focus. Be surgical with your vision. If you aim at nothing, don't be surprised when you hit it. Lock in on your purpose like your life depends on it, because it does. This world doesn't need more noise, it needs more vision. Vision isn't about sight, it's about insight. It's the inner fire that lets you see what others can't, that lets you keep going when everything outside tells you to stop. If you can't see it yet, look harder. Not out there, in here. That's where the real revolution starts. Your purpose isn't out there waiting to be found. It's inside you, buried under layers of fear, comparison, distraction, and noise. Dig it out. Unearth it. Clean the mud off your soul until you remember why you're here. Purpose doesn't whisper. It roars, but only if you shut up long enough to hear it. You don't need a map. You need a reason. One reason strong enough to break the cycle. Discipline is the difference between a spark and a fire. You don't need motivation, you need a code. A personal law. You wake up and you do the work. No debate, no negotiation. You move like it's already yours. Because the people who win aren't always the most talented, they're the most consistent. Talent without discipline is potential wasted, and potential wasted is pain. You move because it matters. You move because standing still is death in slow motion. Action is the antidote to fear. You don't wait for confidence, you build it through movement. Every step you take is a vote for your future. Every rep, every hour, every time you choose the hard thing over the easy one, you're building the architecture of your legacy. Not someday. Now. And while you're building, don't forget to look around and breathe. Not because you should slow down, but because even in war, a warrior must remember what they're fighting for. Gratitude sharpens the blade. Gratitude reminds you why you chose the hard road. You're not doing this because it's easy. You're doing this because it's worth it. Adapt. Bend without breaking. The world changes fast. What worked yesterday will kill you tomorrow if you're too rigid to evolve. Don't cling to your old self. Kill it. Kill the outdated version of you that hesitates, that fears, that hides. Evolve so fast they can't recognize you. Upgrade like your survival depends on it, because it does. You will fall, you will fail, and you will rise. Because resilience is not about avoiding the hit. It's about getting up when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when no one believes. Especially then. Your power isn't in how loud you roar at your peak, it's in how quietly you rebuild in the shadows. That's where your character gets carved. That's where the next level gets earned. And if you're not learning, you're dying. Stay hungry. Stay foolish. Not because it's cute, but because the moment you think you know it all, you stop growing. Humility isn't weakness, it's the soil where growth takes root. Question everything. Tear apart your assumptions. Rebuild from better blueprints. Study like your life depends on it, because it does. You've got one shot, one canvas, one timeline. You can either paint in grayscale or explode in color. You can either repeat what you've seen or invent what's never been done. You can either live a life of quiet regret or leave echoes in every room you enter. The world doesn't owe you a legacy, but it dares you to build one. So build. There's a clock ticking behind everything. You don't see it, but it's there counting down while you scroll, while you overthink, while you tell yourself not yet. That clock doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't care about your dreams. It only rewards execution. You either build before the bell rings, or you waste the gift you were given pretending you had more time. That's the silent killer delay. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear wearing a clever disguise. And if you don't crush it, it will calcify into your character. You can't outsource your destiny. You can't delegate your dreams. This is your fight, your flame, your storm. Stop waiting for someone to give you a green light. Be the signal. Move even when it's red, because nobody's coming. Not the mentor, not the investor, not the miracle. Just you. You are the cavalry. You are the spark. You are the answer you've been begging for. And if you're still looking for clarity, understand this. Clarity isn't found. It's forged in silence, in sweat, in solitude. It doesn't show up when life feels good. It appears when you've stripped away all the noise and faced the truth about who you are and who you aren't. You gain clarity when you stop trying to be liked and start trying to be real. Be brutally honest with yourself. Not cruel, honest. Because truth is the most potent fuel you've got, and most people are running on lies. You want to stand out? Then stop fitting in. Stop asking what's popular, and start asking what's right. Stop trying to go viral and start trying to go vital. Because what matters isn't how many people see you, it's whether your work will still matter when they're gone. You build that kind of legacy through obsession, not approval. Through precision, not performance. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce the version of you that never changes. You either act in alignment with your vision or you betray it. There is no middle ground. You're either inching closer or further away. So get honest. What are you tolerating that's killing your greatness? What are you accepting that's erasing your edge? Kill the distractions. Kill the addiction to validation. Kill the craving to be understood. That craving will keep you small. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be undeniable. The ones who change the game are never liked in the beginning. They're misunderstood, mocked, resisted, and then they're followed. That's the path. There's no shortcut. Just footsteps, blistered and bleeding on the road of conviction. Your vision has to be non-negotiable, not because it's guaranteed to work, but because it's the only thing that feels true enough to die on. That kind of clarity breeds power. That kind of intensity builds gravity. People feel it when you walk in the room. You don't need to speak. Your energy speaks for you. That's presence. That's alignment. That's what happens when every cell in your body is pointed in the same direction. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you friendships. It will cost you sleep and peace and sometimes your own sanity. But you have to ask yourself, what's the alternative? Numbness? Mediocrity? A life of slow, quiet suffocation? No, that's not why you're here. You're here to carve your name into the world with work that echoes. You're here to leave ash and awe in your wake. Because at the end of the day, it's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. Show up when you're tired. Build when it's boring. Execute when it's hard. That's where your edge is sharpened. That's where your identity is sculpted. Not in the highlight reel, in the grind, in the dark, in the hours nobody claps for. The moment you stop needing it to feel good, you unlock power. The moment you stop performing for the crowd, you start performing for the mission. And when the mission is real, nothing else matters. Not the opinions, not the noise, not the resistance. Because you become so focused, so locked in, so convicted that even failure bows to your momentum. Don't chase balance, chase alignment. Balance is an illusion sold to people who fear commitment. What you need is to live in tune with your mission. If that means obsession, so be it. If that means chaos, embrace it. There is no normal path to building something eternal. There's just obsession and execution. And through all of this, don't forget to stay awake, fully awake. Eyes wide, heart sharp, senses on fire. Because most people sleepwalk through life. They live on autopilot. They eat the same food, think the same thoughts, avoid the same fears, repeat the same habits, and then wonder why their life looks exactly the same. But not you. You were born to break loops, to smash patterns, to wake the hell up and live on purpose. You're not chasing success. You're creating impact. You're not hoping to win. You're demanding growth. You're not here to survive. You're here to dominate your lane, define your era, and destroy the version of you that settles every single day. So move, speak, build, lead, learn, break, rebuild, evolve, repeat. There's a beast inside you that you've silenced for too long. You tamed it with politeness. You numbed it with comfort. You caged it with routine. But it's still there, growling, waiting. Not for permission, just for the moment you finally remember who the hell you are. This is that moment. Rip the cage open, let it out. Because everything you want is on the other side of too much. Too intense, too obsessed, too relentless. Be all of it. Be too much. Because the world wasn't moved by the reasonable. It was moved by the unreasonable few who refused to be average. You want freedom? Then earn it. Not by working less, but by becoming so irreplaceable that the world bends to your value. Real freedom doesn't come from quitting. It comes from owning. Owning your craft. Owning your outcome. Owning your growth. And that kind of ownership isn't given, it's taken. Through sweat, through scars, through years of doing what others only talk about. This is war. Not with the world, but with your limits. With the voice in your head that tells you to wait, to shrink, to doubt. That voice doesn't go away. You just stop listening. You drown it with action, with precision, with movement so loud the fear has no room to speak. Don't negotiate with your weakness. Outrun it, outbuild it, outlast it. Most people are addicted to the idea of progress but allergic to the process. They want the brand without the blood. They want the power without the price. But you're not most people. You know that the process is the prize. You know that pain isn't punishment, it's permission. The gateway, the filter, the necessary furnace that burns off who you were to make room for who you're becoming. You don't rise by chance, you rise by choice. Every day, every hour, especially when it's hard, especially when it's unfair, especially when it hurts. Because pressure is the proof that you're leveling up. Pressure is the tax you pay for potential. So pay it with pride. You're not here for easy, you're here for evolution. And evolution doesn't ask, it demands. It tears down your comfort zone and rebuilds you in the image of your intent. It strips you of the soft. It carves new instincts. It replaces maybe with must, someday with now, and hopefully with inevitably. If you want to rise, you've got to burn. Burn your excuses. Burn your past. Burn the version of you that made peace with mediocrity. Ashes only matter when you build from them. Discipline is love, not comfort, not softness, not letting yourself off the hook. Real love is holding yourself to the fire of your own standard every single day, especially when no one's watching. Because the gap between what you feel and what you do defines the distance between your dreams and your reality. Close the gap. Every time you do the work when it's hard, you collapse the space between the vision in your head and the life you're building. Your future isn't waiting, it's watching. Watching how you move today, watching what you tolerate, watching what you repeat. You can't fake this. The mirror knows, the work knows. You either did it or you didn't. And that truth raw, clear, undeniable is what will either set you free or expose you every single day. So get uncomfortable, get dangerous, get obsessed with progress. Don't just chase goals, build systems. Systems that kill excuses before they start. Systems that pull you forward when motivation fades. Goals are cute. Systems are brutal. Build brutally effective systems. Morning routines. Non-negotiable habits. Daily disciplines so tight they become part of your nervous system. And when it gets dark, and it will remember this, darkness is not your enemy. It's your proving ground. It's where your grit sharpens. It's where your faith becomes real. It's where your voice gets louder. Because you're no longer whispering for approval, you're roaring for truth. Real builders don't fear the dark. They use it as fuel, as a forge, as a stage for the rebirth of their fire. Stop looking for hacks. Stop begging for shortcuts. Nothing real is built that way. You don't build a legacy with comfort hacks. You build it with identity shifts. With brutal self-awareness and decisions so powerful they cut away your former self. That's the cost. And if you're not willing to pay it, step aside because someone else is. And they will not wait for you to catch up. You're not racing anyone else. You're racing your potential. You're racing the man or woman you could become if you stop living at 40%, 60%, even 90%. Go to the edge. Shatter it. And when you find the new edge, go again. Because the limit doesn't exist unless you protect it. Destroy the limits. Not with hype, with work, with volume, with discipline that makes the universe take notice. And yes, people will talk. They'll misunderstand you, mislabel you, try to pull you back down. Let them. You weren't born for consensus. You weren't built for small talk. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be undeniable. To become so aligned, so focused, so damn disciplined that even your silence shakes rooms. Let them doubt. Let them gossip. Let them predict your failure. Then let your work drown them out. You won't need to say a word. Your execution will become the language they fear. Your movement will speak so loud it mutes their noise. Because that's what happens when you stop performing and start becoming. You don't need more advice. You need more action. You don't need more books. You need more boldness. You don't need another reason. You need a decision. Make it now. Decide to become the version of you that doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't fade. The version of you that walks into fire not because it's easy, but because it's true. You came here to make noise, not to be polite, not to tiptoe around your potential like it's some fragile thing. You came here to break patterns, to smash inertia, to leave a crater so deep in the world that generations after you can still feel the impact. So stop whispering. Stop second guessing. Stop pretending you don't already know what needs to be done. You know. You've always known. That voice inside, that pull you feel when it's quiet, that's not fantasy. That's your mission calling you out by name. So rise. Not slowly, not softly, not cautiously. Rise like you've been lit on fire. Like everything you've survived was preparing you for this exact second. Because it was. Every failure, that was fuel. Every betrayal, that was training. Every time you were underestimated, doubted, passed over, that was just the world sharpening the edge of your intent. And now? Now is when you cut through. Stop living like you've got time to waste. You don't. Your dreams are dying in meetings, dying in maybe laters, dying in that endless scroll of nothing. And every time you delay, the gap between who you are and who you could be grows wider. Close the damn gap. Not with affirmations, but with action. Ruthless, deliberate, terrifying action. Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're not dreams. They're distractions dressed in comfort. Look around. This world is starving for the real, for the raw, for the rare few willing to live without a backup plan. So burn yours. Burn the plan B. Burn the exit route. Burn every excuse you've been feeding to your ego to protect yourself from the pain of failing. And then fail. Hard, loud, publicly. Because the only thing more terrifying than failing in front of them is succeeding at something that doesn't set your soul on fire. You weren't born to settle. You weren't built for good enough. You are not a side character in someone else's script. You are the writer, the director, the producer, and the storm, so act like it. Speak like it, move like it. Not with arrogance, but with absolute certainty. That's the difference. Arrogance hopes, certainty decides, arrogance waits, certainty acts. There's nothing more dangerous than someone with nothing to prove and everything to give. Become that. Become the one they can't ignore. Not because you're loud, but because your discipline hums louder than their doubts, because your vision pierces through the noise, because your presence rewires the air in the room. That's not charisma. That's congruence. That's what happens when your actions match your soul. And when it gets hard, and it will remember this, you've already survived worse. You've already been underestimated, dismissed, broken, laughed at. And yet you're still here, still breathing, still hungry, still dangerous. You didn't come this far to stop. You didn't claw your way through the fire just to cool off now. You came this far so you could climb higher. So do it. Bleed if you have to. Cry if you must. But don't stop. Not now, not ever. Because every step you take forward is a rebellion against the version of you that almost gave up. Every morning you rise before the world wakes up, you're declaring war on mediocrity. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, focus over fear, purpose over popularity, you are becoming unshakable. And unshakable people bend the world. They don't wait for the wave, they become the tide. They don't ask if it's possible, they ask if it's necessary. And if it is, they do it, whether they're ready or not. Whether they're supported or not, whether they're scared or not, they move anyway. And that's what makes them immortal. So let this be the moment, the line in the sand, the inhale before the roar, the second your old self takes its final breath. No more excuses, no more hiding, no more asking for permission to be great. It's yours, always was. The only thing left is to take it, with blood, with vision, with a level of fire so relentless the world has no choice but to watch or move the hell out of your way. Create, or be replaced. But whatever you do, don't stand still.